The message arrived at 5:12 a.m. A single sentence, sent from the company's internal server, unsigned. He starts today. No greeting, no signature, no clarification. Just a statement that felt like a blade slipped between my ribs. I stared at the screen, the glow cutting through the darkness of my home office. The house was silent. My wife, still asleep in the bedroom we no longer shared in anything but geography. For a moment I listened to the hum of the computer, steady, cold, unbothered, unlike me. My hands didn't shake, my pulse didn't spike, but something inside me shifted, like a floorboard snapping under too much weight. He starts today. I already knew who he was. I had seen the looks at last night's dinner. My wife's father raising his glass. My wife sitting beside him, smiling a smile she didn't earn. And the words that followed were delivered like a toast at my funeral. Your wife's new husband will take over now. They laughed. I didn't. I just sat there, feeling something detach inside me, quietly, efficiently. Now the morning sun began bleeding through the blinds as I closed the message. I got up, put on the same suit I wore the day I took their failing company and rebuilt it into an $85 million empire. 13 years. 13 years of loyalty, growth, strategy, and battles fought alone. And now, a stranger would start today. I smiled at my reflection. Small, controlled, dangerous. Because they had no idea what else would start today. It began 3 months ago, a shift so subtle I almost missed it. My wife's tone changing. Too polite, too rehearsed, too patient. Her father calling fewer meetings with me and more with consultants he never named. At home, whispers stopped when I entered rooms. Texts appeared on her phone that she hid like a teenager. Once I reached for her hand across the couch. She flinched. Not from fear, from guilt. A small thing, but small things leave long shadows. I didn't ask questions, didn't accuse, didn't fall into the trap of the wounded husband demanding explanations. No, I watched. I listened. At family gatherings, her brother's smirk lingered longer than usual. Her mother's pitying pat on my shoulder grew heavier, like she knew something coming before I did. And then last night happened. A dinner I hadn't wanted, a seating arrangement that felt staged. My father-in-law clearing his throat with the authority of a man who believed he owned every person at the table. He didn't look at me when he spoke. He looked at his daughter. Your wife's new husband will take over now. The words hit harder than any betrayal could, because they weren't delivered with shame. They were delivered with ceremony. My wife smiled, wide, triumphant, almost relieved. She didn't correct him, didn't deny it, didn't even look at me. That was the moment I understood something very old and very sharp. They had been planning my removal long before they announced it. But they forgot one thing. You cannot betray a man who already saw you coming. I began digging the next morning, quietly, politely, like a man preparing for another day of work, not for the dismantling of a family and an empire. Phone logs, email metadata, unregistered meetings, legal drafts saved under hidden folders. You would be amazed what people leave behind when they think you're loyal, blind, and tired. I found the first document at 3 a.m., a transition agreement, handing the company's daily operations to the incoming husband, a man's name I had never seen until that moment. I read every line, every clause, every decision they made in my absence. They were going to push me out of the company I built, and my wife was going to let her new husband take my position, my seat, my legacy, maybe even my life. But I didn't get angry. I got organized. By the end of the week, I had assembled everything. Financial records, board signatures, communications, private files. Enough to burn them all. But I wasn't ready to strike. Not yet. Because revenge tastes better when it's served to someone who still believes they're winning. The final piece landed on my desk Friday morning. A signed copy of their marriage license, dated 6 weeks ago. My wife was already married, living in my house, eating at my table, sleeping in my bed while waiting for the moment to replace me. I held the paper for a long time. No trembling, no tears, just clarity. At noon, I walked into her father's office. He looked up, annoyed that I entered without knocking. I set the marriage certificate on his desk. His eyes widened. His lips parted. The color drained from his face. Not because he feared the truth, but because he realized I had known before he was ready. Then he looked at me, searching for anger. I gave him none, only silence, the kind that feels like a blade. At 7 a.m. the next morning, I walked into the boardroom. Every executive was already there, every director, every shareholder. They were expecting the incoming husband's introduction. Instead, they got me. I placed a thick folder on the table. Inside, proof of their secret takeover, proof of the illegal marriage concealment, proof of financial misconduct. Not my misconduct, theirs. One by one they read. One by one, faces tightened. One by one they understood. My wife arrived late, confident, glowing, until she saw the documents. Her smile collapsed. Her throat worked silently. Her hands shook before her voice even could. And her father collapsed into his chair like something inside him finally snapped. I didn't raise my voice, didn't accuse, didn't gloat. I simply said the 6 words that sealed their fate. I resign, effective immediately, with compensation. And the board, terrified of scandal, approved everything. Everything. I walked out owning more than half the company. They walked out owning nothing. My wife chased me to the elevator. "Wait, please, just talk to me." I stepped inside, pressed the button, watched the doors begin to close. Her eyes were frantic, breaking, begging. I felt nothing. 13 years, I said softly. Remember them. Because I won't. The doors shut. Silence. Freedom. And finally, power.